Hello, 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 hello. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to match day 2 of the 2025 Community Team Club. This is Gen X's first venture this year into the competition. Tonight's race is Community League Racing versus Gen X Racing. Community CLR are actually the hosts for the evening and have set the race setting, chart, track, etc. However, we've stepped in to actually host as there was some issue at CLR's end, so we're happy to do that. The course is Lago Magiorre West, and it's in the reverse format. It's the afternoon with a weather setting of SO1, so it's nice and sunny, no chance of rain. Both tyre wear and fuel usage is set to 4 times. And there are 32 left. We currently have a massive 2 watching. Say hello, whoever you are, in the chat. Qualifying is due to start at 8:20. There is 10 minutes of qualifying with no tyre wear or fuel usage during that time, only in the race. If you haven't yet subscribed to Gen X, please do so. We would appreciate it very much, and like the stream tonight would be very helpful to us as well. And we're now down to 1 viewer, which I believe is actually me, as I'm monitoring the stream. So I will just wait until hopefully a few more people join, and I will bring up the team list for you to introduce the drivers. Hello, we now have a massive 3 people live on the stream. Hello and welcome. Please do drop us a line in the chat to introduce yourself and say hello. That down to 2, which I believe is me and somebody else. So hello to whoever you are. And so this is match day 2 of the 2025 Community Team Cup. We are at the Lago Magiorre reverse course. We still use this anti-weight sets for 4 times real time, 8 litre refueling flow rates. It's the afternoon, it's 2 times real time dilation. It's a nice and sunny SO1. All available race compounds are available and none are actually required, so it's a complete open choice for strategy. So here are the team Lineup for tonight, racing for Schmoozy League Racing is RA Finalized, RA Shred, Lemony Tweed, River Ruffus, CLR Richie L78, and the Furious 2. Racing for Jeanette are Murdoch, Dan East, Service Engine, Charlie, Gillette, and Dallo Boy. Hello Ray, nice to have you with us. So we will be changing to qualification settings in around about 6 minutes. Qualification will then follow shortly, which will be 10 minutes of qualifying. The race itself is 32 laps. So Community League Racing are fielding all A+ drivers, apart from one A driver. Gen X have 2 A drivers, 3 B racer drivers, and 1 C racer driver. Community League Racing. So we are now 5 minutes away from qualifying. To run through the team lineups for you again. Racing for Community League Racing is finalised, who is A+ driver. R.A. Dread, who is an A+ driver. Lemony Squeeze, who is an A+ driver. Rishi Rushus is an A+ driver. CLR Richie L78 is an A+ driver. And the Furious 2 is an A racing driver. So CLR have 5 A+ drivers and 1 A driver. Racing for Gen X tonight is Murdoch, who is A races. Dan East, who is B races. Source Engine, who is C races. Chalet, who is B races. Sheila, who is B races. And Darlow Boyd, who is A races. Good luck to everybody racing tonight on both teams. Everybody please ensure it's a nice, clean and fair race. Thank you, Apology, for admiring our liveries. Having a look at yours now, Apology. Do I detect a Duracell vibe going on there? Possibly inspired by Williams Racing F1 team? It's pretty cool, whatever. Counting down to qualifying. Hello, DCR Cars. Who's looking at the chat is Ian. Welcome to you. We're minutes away from qualifying starting. If you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, please do so. It makes us very happy for our little racing league. And if you are interested in coming along and trying out some of our races, the QR code is at the bottom of the stream. For our YouTube, but also our Discord server, which you can join, and everything is there to get you racing with us ASAP. And qualifying is underway. The CLR qualifying. What happens in the qualifying session, slightly different to our normal races, is that the host team goes out first with a 30 seconds time gap before the away team comes out to ensure there is no hindrance of either party, or either team rather. So Richie L78 is leading the CLR team around. About to start the first flying lap. Followed by Lemon Squeeze, followed by RA Shred, and finalised. Not sure if RA is a representative of Race Asylum. Richie Rushus, the Furious 2, and then Chalet is leading the Gen X guys out, followed by Slow Engine, Murdoch, Sallow Boy, Shellac, and Dan East is bringing up the rear. That's the pointy end. So you put the first lap into MTV. What will the first time be laid down? CLR looks like they have this well practiced, managing to get the toe for most of their drivers. So Richie shuts the beam at 120.8 for the first and currently fastest lap. 120.9 for Shred, very close. 121.2, 121.3, 121.8, 122.4. So Charlie is coming over first for Gen X and does a 122.6. So very good lap from Charlie, comparable to some of the latter CLR guys. Murdoch has binned it. Never mind Murdoch, get back on track. Dan East is coming over and does a 122.3. Sallow Boy has put in a 122.0, which is a really good lap. So it's engine yet to, although he's done a 122.3, so that's pretty good. I think it was Murdoch, wasn't it, who binned it. So it has yet to set a representative time. So Richie L78 coming out for his second flying lap. Does he go faster? He doesn't. Neither does Shred. However, Lemon Squeezy does with a 120.6. Fantastic lap. what's happening with the next guys. Are we going faster? Looks like Lago had a bit of a problem on that lap. Sam East has now put in the fastest lap for Jeanette at a 1:21.9. Well done, Dan. Lago still on a 22.0. Zilla put in a 22.2. Engine has put in a 22.3. Very good laps. 22.6 from Charlie. And Murdoch still appears to have a little bit of trouble. Picked up the penalty. So again, probably will not be a representative lap. I think Richie has just slowed down a little bit to make sure that the guys behind can get in the toe. So we're riding on board both them and Squeezy behind Richie 78, I believe. For some reason these cars riding in cockpit seem incredibly slow. They're not, but it does seem so. Welcome to the 3 people on chat. No traction control for Lemtruzi. We do have traction control on for Richie. Very close behind, picking up the slow. Oh, and then Squeezy unfortunately loses it and goes off the track and returns to the pits. So we still currently have Lemon Squeezy in pole, who has now been surpassed by Alex Fred at a news officer at 1:20.5. Lemon Squeezy 0.2 behind, 2 tenths of a second. Richie a further 13,000 of under 1:20.8. River Russius 1:20.8. I finalises a further 2 tenths back. Julius another 2 tenths back. Sam is half a second back, the first of the Generation X races. Sheila a 10th behind. Darlow 17 thousandths further back, 1:20.0. Engine, first engine, a third of a second further drift. Charlie, the 1:22.6 is currently being at the rear, but the times are pretty comparable. Watching the current pole sitter being led around by Richie 78, who is giving him the toe. Appears to be a well rehearsed and orchestrated qualifying routine. And the Swede is still in the pit. Let's roll on board with Dan, who's going to start another lap. You have to forgive me, I have no idea what the names of the corners are called. So around the first right hand uphill corner. So catch Sheila and runs wide under the dirty air. Dan backs out of that lap. Meldock goes through. Sheila is the 1:22.0. So the current spread is just over 2 seconds for the entire grid. will be the final lap. And our shred is up here in purple. Getting a great tow from Richie L78. She pulls over at the towards the end of the lap to ensure our A shred is unhindered going into the final corner. A little bit of a twitch. Comes over the line. Does he set a new fastest lap? He does not, only 1/10 behind though. Ooh, a couple of the CLR guys have a coming together over the line. The Mozak is now quickest. He has finished and is quickest of the Gen X drivers currently, and has actually just overtaken one of the CLR guys with a great lap of 121.2. Absolutely fantastic lap though. Well done, mate. Lago has also finished again with a great lap, 21.8. South East finishes on. So great qualifying by everybody. So that is qualifying done and dusted for you. Let me ensure I get a screen capture of the qualifying. So results of qualifying on pole with a fantastic 120.5 lap is our Shred for CLR. Then the Squeezy with a 120.6. Richie with a 120.8. River Rushes with a 120.8. Finalised with a 121.06. Murdoch, the first of the Gen X drivers in 6th with a 121.2. With the Furious 2 representing CLR with a 121.3. Valor Boy, Gen X 121.8. In 9th is Dan East of Gen X with 121.9. Sheila 122.0. 122.3 for Source Engine, and Chalet also from Gen X with 122.6. And that is your starting lineup for tonight. We're just waiting for the race director to give us the go ahead to start the actual race. So just to reiterate, it's 32 laps around the track tonight. It's afternoon, it's time dilation of only 2x. Tyres and fuel is 4 times real time, the 8-second fuel. Refuels are very even. All racing components are available, none are required, so it's a totally free choice of strategy. Okay, but everybody is free to go. We have been given the green light by the race director, so we will get underway. Good luck to all drivers on both teams. So we're waiting for the lights to go red and then show out to signify the start of the race. 5 lights. Quite a long hold and everybody is away. RS Shred is leading them out. Everybody around the first corner with no incidents, which is good to see. Well done, everybody. Furious 2 has gained a spot in the first 2 corners to 6. However, Melzart has just regained his 6th place. Although, yep, no, he has managed to make that stick. We're coming up to complete the first lap. We have CLR in first, second, third, fourth. So let's look at the tyre chassis. So let me see the started on the mediums. That's probably going to be a one-stop medium perhaps. RS Shred also on mediums for CLR. Richie in third, mediums. River Russia's mediums. Murdoch has started on the soft. Murdoch was talking about a possible one-stop soft spot, so if you can pull that off, that's going to be pretty impressive. Furious 2 also on medium. Something's happened to finalise. He's dropped down the field a little bit to 7th. He's also on mediums, and the entire CLR team have started on mediums. Dan is on mediums. Zurich is on softs. Lago on softs. Slally on mediums, and there's engine on softs. So one strategy for the entire CLR team and a mixture of strategies for Gen X. So new fastest lap by some way, of course, as it's the first flying lap of 1:23.0 by Lemon Squeezy, or Lemony Squeeze. So followed by RS Shred in second, Richie in third, River Rush in fourth. Furious 2 is a further almost 1.5 seconds behind in fifth. So looks like something has happened to Murdoch also. We'll have a look in a moment. Sheila is up to 6th. The other boy only half a second behind, followed by finalised for CLR in 8th. Dan in very close proximity, only less than a third of a second behind in 9th. Let's drive the Dan for 2 corners. Taking a different line to finalise into that corner. both down and finalised on the same tire compound at the time. So the engine is in close proximity to shallow, taking advantage of the flow, and some of those don't race yourself there. And Murdoch's obviously had an offer at some point, as he's now at the rear of the field. So how's everybody's tyres doing? Obviously the guys on mediums will hardly have touched them at the moment. Our new plus is that for lemon squeeze at 122.8. Purple in the second sector, possibly by a few hundredths of a second. So CLR still had the first 5 places, and Squeeze went a bit wide but kept it on the black stuff. Ardenbury, you think there was an incident between Murdoch and Furious 2, possibly? So let me squeeze it now. It's starting to stretch his legs a little bit, now a second ahead of Shred, who is also a second ahead of Ritchie, who is slightly less than a second behind, with Furious 2 now dropping slightly back. Just over a second and a half. Sheila is now the first of the Generation X drivers, closely followed by Lago. Lago goes a little bit wide, gets his tire onto the grass, but nothing untoward, nothing happens. The Sheila now is right on the back of the Furious 2. Going to take a different line into the corner. Furious 2 goes defensive. Philip tries an interest move, and while this is happening, Scarlet Boy takes an absolutely opportunistic approach and overtakes in the process. Great move, Zalaboy, opportunistic but well taken. So Zalaboy is now the lead runner of Genesex in 5th, Furious 2 down to 6th, Sheelash is still in contention in 7th, our finalised Bashan 8th with Bam roughly half a second behind, Murdoch another second behind. So basically the last 4 Gen X guys are pretty much equidistant at the back of the field, but still giving it their all. So we see if we can find the race for you. So it looks like the race on track at the moment. Sheila is still on the back of the Furious 2. Again, she gets very unsettled over those big sausage curbs. This time Sergio on the inside. Looks like he's possibly, but he then runs wide. Naturally, so had the move almost done, but then shouldn't slow the car. Maybe the front went light under the dirty air, and he ran wide, but he's still in close proximity. Further back, Bam is still hounding a finalise. Lago has pulled the gap out a little bit in those last couple of corners. Magiorre is now very close to Dan. Tyres still look okay. We're roughly between a quarter and a third race distance, just less than a quarter, or just over a quarter into the race. Racing Fox, hello, nice to see you again. Happening at the front three, so Lemony Squeeze is extending his lead at the front to almost 2.5 seconds now. Tyres are more than adequate. The fuel can easily go the whole race. So Richie is now much closer to RH Shred than what he was. Maybe he's now having a period of attack where he was for hearing to provide slipstream duties. So 2, 3 and 4 very much running in formation. Lago is up to 5th and 2 seconds behind 4th place. Not sure whether Lago is back on his wheel or not. He had a major problem with his seat, which meant he shouldn't use his wheel and has missed a few internal generation X races because of it. But if he's racing tonight on his controller, he's doing extremely well. So he is now almost 4 seconds ahead of the Furious 2. Both sides are slightly worse, but still in very good shape. I think this is going to be a one-stop for Lago, who is our resident tyre ripper. So Finalize is in 7th. Something has happened to Sheila, and Dan East unfortunately has had an off, but quickly back on the track. So Dan is down to, and Sheila also must have had an off, and takes over 10th place from Dan, who then unfortunately is off track again and has dropped down to the back of the field. I'm actually Dan, keep it going, mate. So let's have a recap. Lemony Squeeze still extending his lead out the front into well, over 3 seconds now. I don't suspect there'll be a stop until at least that 15. However, our Shred and River Rushes are now right on the back of Richie, who possibly is dropped back to give slipstream duties again. It's quite strange. He was doing this at the start of the race and then suddenly have an injection of pace, pulled away a little bit, and has now dropped back. Cars look okay, so I suspect these are team operating orders. Lago is 2 seconds behind. River Rushes in 5th place. Tyres are slightly worse than anybody else's, but I'm sure this is still going to be a solid stop for Lago. Furious 2 is dropped further back to almost 5 seconds. Finalize is another almost 2 seconds behind. S Engine is another 2.5 seconds behind. With Chalet another 2.5 seconds behind. Sheila almost 5 seconds further back. Murdoch a second further adrift, and Dan is currently 6 seconds off the pace at the rear. Cars look okay. So trying to see if we can find some action for you. Looks like the closest action at the moment is between the CLR boys themselves. Although this is touring class close racing as opposed to battling with each other. ride a bit with Dread. This is going to be a choreographed move. I'm drafting here. Not attempting to pass, purely bump drafting. Normally I would say this is to save fuel and tyres, but in this particular race of the settings, that's not really needed to save tyres or fuel. Maybe Richie is just setting a required pace that the guys have worked out beforehand. So Lago flips a little bit further back, and his tyres are starting to go quite badly now. So everybody is pretty much in their own space now. Not a lot of racing going on, unfortunately. But a well-oiled team, or displayed so far by CLR, and a good rescue performance by Gen X. And a nice catch by Engine there, whose tyres are also quite badly worn. Charlie, you got that slows to Charlie behind to just under 2 seconds. So the Gen X points do seem to be suffering a bit now with tyre wear. Mozart, Schiller, and Dan. Although Dan's tyres are much better than the few guys ahead of him, as they are on softs and he was on mediums. And he's going quickest there for his race. So Lemony Sweezy is still pulling away majestically, but very controlled. Lago, although now has picked up the fastest lap from Gen X, so 1:22.2, excellent lap there, Andy, sorry I missed that. Although it is now falling back rapidly on those failing tyres, unfortunately. Cuts the corner badly, hopefully that won't be a penalty. It is a penalty. Thought it might be, unfortunately. Car is starting to get quite twitchy. So does this give a chance for Furious to and Finalise to pull up to the back of Andy? We'll try and watch that pace. Currently it's around about 6.5 seconds. And it actually appears to be increasing. Guys at the back still pretty much equidistant. Riley having a controlled race, no off or moment. Magiorre is starting to pick up the pace. Only Lago still holds the first lap at 1:22.2. Ahead of Lemony Sweezy, whose first lap is 22.4. Continuing to eke out the gap ahead of Shred, who has now overtaken Richie. Becoming a bit loose under the dirty air from the car in front. Keep it nicely rotated though. back to 4th place with Russia's in 4th. Second, third and fourth for CLR in team formation. While Lemon Squeezy extends his lead in first position. Difficult to tell at the moment whether Lago is actually making any inroads into the gap to River Russia's ahead. Still holds the fastest lap. Will be coming in, I suspect, in the next couple of laps for new boots. Maybe a very quick top up of fuel as he's just slightly under half a tank. Okay, so finalised is pulled right up to the back of the Furious 2. Those CLR drivers. Looks like Furious 2 had a little bit of a problem trying to get that turned into the corner. Back to 7th place to finalise. That's a continuous effect and the braking and pulling away. It looks like finalise has got a really good exit and so you're going to go for a move here. This appears to be close to racing on track, be it friendly fire or otherwise. Down the hills to the left-hander, taking different lines. And Furious 2 pulls over to let his teammates through. Both on the same tyres, so obviously they've decided that finalise is probably quicker at this moment, and so to let him through that, and he has to see whether he can make any inroads into Lago's ahead. So Lago has indeed pitted. First driver to pit. We've gone a little bit of fuel. Comes out in 9th place. Merzo has pitted behind him. Got a full rundown just over halfway through the race. Lemon Squeezy in first place, 4 seconds ahead of teammate Trez, who is running in very close formation with Richie and River Russia's in 3rd and 4th. Finalised further 13 seconds back. Furious 2 has lost a little bit of ground behind finalised. Currently between a second and a second and a half, although he is now pulling it back. Either had a better exit or there's some more team slipstreaming going on. CLR has not stopped yet. Been very well on tyres, haven't you? Almost 12 seconds behind the Furious 2. Lago has stopped, has put on another set of tops, and so with that little bit of fuel is going to the end. Charlie moves over to let Andy through. Nicely done, Pascal. Right, Andy fuel pelt down the hill to the left-hander. Outside chamber. Much faster now than Charlie, who's on silicone pounds and also older tyres. Sam still on his first set of tyres and doing very well on fuel. Sam seems of a no stopper, which I think is what he's trying here, so should rush on that. Sam Motor has stopped, got on another fresh set of soft, a little bit of fuel, and is on his way in 10th. Followed by Slash Engine, who is in the same chassis, soft, with a little bit of fuel, and Sherlock, the same chassis on tyres and fuel. So trying to find some racing for you. Lemon Squeezy continues to pull away by a few tenths each lap. 5 seconds now. Our Shred, Richie and Rushus still very much in formation driving. Finalised is now up to, so the first of the CLR drivers is now pitching. And takes no fuel and has gone onto soft. Comes out in this place behind Finalised. Shred takes over the lead as yet to stop. Doing very well on fuel. Is this possibly no stop for these 3 drivers who are driving more conservatively and in team formation to minimise fuel usage? Could possibly be. Very impressive as it is. And then Lemon Squeezy, who's on a push now on faster tyres, much newer tyres. Murdoch now for Jeanette has done the fastest lap of the race in 22.1. The Q2 is now into the pit. Or I suspect a set of softs. Balaboy should go to the 6th and does so on his softs. Well, Dan gets through into 8th. Dan and Charlotte gets through, so a couple of places picked up there. The Q2 has dropped a couple of places with his pit stop. However, Charlie has yet to pit and is quickly overtaken by Furious 2. Murdoch currently has the fastest lap of the race. It's booted and suited to the end. So the only people yet to stop is Charlie for Gen X, Sam for Gen X, who I suspect is doing a no stop strategy, finalises Jets to stop. Lemon Squeezy has stopped and is back up to 4th. And these 3 guys in first, second and third have yet to stop. If indeed they are going to. I'm going to predict that these guys are actually going for a 0 stopper as well. Although Shred has now suddenly put his foot down and has left the other 2 behind to the tune of almost 2 seconds. Unless Richie had a bit of a wobble somewhere. And then Sweetie puts in the fastest lap at a 1:21.9 and is purple again by 3 thousandths of a second. Let's race with him. With 86,000 slower than his fastest lap so far. And is pulling in on the 3 drivers in front of him. So Richie has now relinquished or lost second place to River Russias. Whether that is planned or it was just a performance or issue for Richie, we do not know. CLR probably will know. But River Russias is now dropped the hammer. And I suspect probably these guys have all taken a turn in the lead to see whether they can pull away. Although Richie is now falling back quite badly. Definitely going for a no stop, I'm going to say, but his tyres are showing off. But the other 2 guys are the same in terms of tyre wear. So Lemon Squeezy is rapidly now gaining on Richie in third. Finalised, still a good stop, if indeed he's going to. Lago is in 6th place for Gen X, first of the Gen X drivers. Furious 2 is further 13 seconds down the road, and Dan is in quite close to the back of him. And Modok goes wide behind. Can he keep it together? He cannot, and he loses it into the barrier. There's a Verstappen in recovery and goes on his way. And Scala is now going to be on the back of Modok. Modok has recovered his composure, although Charlie is pulling in. Convinced, Charlie is now doing a no stopper, and the same as Dan. The Shred and Russia's out front for CLR, and a half a second between them. Richie has dropped further back to almost 3 seconds. These guys are definitely no stopping. Lemon Squeezy is still on the charge, or Lemony Squeeze, not Lemon Squeezy, and has now dropped a 1:21.4. Absolutely fantastic that. Well done. And is only 4 seconds now behind Richie. Finalised another 7 seconds back. Lago has now dropped further back to almost 10 seconds behind. Although he's in no man's land, as he is also 10 seconds ahead of the Furious 2. Ram is a further 5 and a bit seconds behind. Verzot's 3 seconds further back. Chilo another 3 seconds back. Chalet 1 second further adrift, and Ascension now to 11 seconds behind. So you can visibly see now how much closer Lemon Squeeze is in 4th place. To Richie, pull up 2 seconds on that lap. Very quickly would be sniffing Richie's fumes. That now down to 1.5 seconds. To Richie slightly up the road. Corner 1, left hander up the hill. So Lemony Squeeze now is only less than 6 seconds behind the lead. All laps to go. David Lemony Squeeze as he pulls in behind Richie, who I suspect will just pull over very shortly. Let Lemony Squeeze pass with a minimal fuss, minimal disruption. Through he goes on his merry way. Richie shoving now on the mediums, although he's probably going to get a bit of a toe of Lemon Squeezy, or maybe not. I suspect Lemon Squeezy is going to go for the win here. 3 laps to go, 5 seconds adrift. Lago is still fighting the fight for Gen X in 6. Nice one, Andy. Keep it going. Furious 2 is pulling in a little bit on Andy, but does not have enough lap now to reel Andy in unless something untoward happens. Murdoch, again, a little bit far back. Dan's doing a great job on his no stopper, up to 9th now. Lago in 10th. CLR in 11th. Engine bringing up the rear. They're driving nice and smoothly. So let's get back. So how far behind is Lemony Squeezy now? So it's down to 3.5 seconds. There's only 2 laps. Okay, it's going to be close. Any predictions on the chat? Are these two guys going to hang on, or is Lemony Squeezy going to come through? So we're now down, so the gap has slightly increased between the leader and Lemony Squeezy. So maybe Shred's gonna hang on. Although they are now all visible within the same short start finish straight. So currently a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for CLR. Yep, yeah, I think Lemony's just running out of tyres, fuel, and number of lap. Richie is now starting to pull Crease back in. Do we have any racing? Everybody's pretty much running their own race at the moment, apart from the top 4 guys who are all part of the same team. I think Lemony Squeezy's charge has come to nothing, although a valiant effort. And it looks like the 2 non-stoppers, although maybe River Rush is going to have to do some short shifting here. A little bit low on fuel. And Shred is starting to make a little bit of a gap. And we're on to the final lap. With Shred in first. River in second. Lemony third. Richie fourth. Finalised 5th. Lago 10 seconds back in 6th, first of the Gen X rise. Looks like struggling on fuel. Furious 2 also low on fuel, and a very worn front right tyre. And then we have Murdoch, Dan, Gila, Charlie, and third engine for Gen S. So let's make sure we don't miss the guys coming over the line. So rounding the final 2 corners. And a little reel as Shred crosses the line to take the win for CLR. And looks like we're going to have a formation finish of all 4 drivers. Well done, guys. Well deserved, well raced. Finalised coming in 5th for CLR, and first of the Gen X racers who crossed the line is Lago in 6th place. Well done, Andy. 7th place for GS2 from CLR. 8th place for Magiorre for Gen X. Closely followed by Dan for Gen X in 9th. Ballet crosses the line in 10th. Sorry, Sheila. Ballet follows closely behind in 11th for Gen X. And also Search Engine finishing the race for Gen X. Well done, everybody, for a crashing race and a very good-natured race with no incidents other than perhaps one near the beginning. But yeah, good race by all. Well done, everybody. So, quick rundown of the final result for you for the match day 2 of the Community Teams Hub 2025 between Community League Racing and Generate X Racing. Winner with the fastest lap of 1:22.6 was Irish Shred for CLR. Lemon Trees overtook his compatriot River Ruffers in the formation finishing on the lines was a 1:21.4. River Ruffers in third with 1:22.5. Richie L in fourth with 1:22.6. Finalised 1:22.7 in fifth. Dalibor in sixth for the first of the Gen X races. The 1:22.2. GS2 with a 1:21.8 in 7th. Magiorre in 8th for Gen X with a 1:21.8. Dan East in 9th for Gen X with a 1:22.4. Dulac 1:22.3. Starlight 1:23.7 and Search Engine finishing the grid off with a 1:23.0 in 12th place. So thank you to everybody who raced. Well done, CLR. A very well executed race, and congratulations. Well done to all Gen X drivers also, and everybody who joined the stream. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you for match day 3.